name is Ibarra.
And I'm Edward Conroy.
And I'm Julian Gomez.
And we want to walk you through nodes, our Miami River Pavilion located at Sewell Park. These past few weeks have been non-stop, but I guess they're always non-stop in the end. And I'm happy because we've actually come up with great ideas for the design of our project for the pavilion in the Miami River. I would say that it's challenging working as a team. One of the best things of working as a team is that you're with other people, but one of the worst things of being in a team is that you're with other people too. And each of us want to bring our own idea to the design, and then the other's idea usually contributes to our own. But then there's a few conflicts from time to time because we do 5 collages and then we want to incorporate all the 5 collages into our final piece. But it's good. Julian and Edward are actually quite great co-workers and colleagues. As our party, we have the contrasting elements seen throughout the river, mainly with wood, metal and concrete for materials, and then also other things like, for instance, permanent structures versus temporary buildings, and also like wooden, especially with wooden crates, for instance, and then an actual building or highways or roads or things like that are very permanent and static and will not move. Then there's also games of positives and negatives and how these positives and negatives are casting shadows and creating a whole different idea and experience of the river.
Jose, he brought something to the table that I thought was quite nice, which was a type of movement or a collaboration of all the materials that we found in the park, which was concrete, represented in highways, wood, represented in wooden crates for local fishermen, and steel from the bridges.
We've come up with great ideas. We started our collages with these shapes. We were trying to create a void in the center of our structure. And I think we all, at least we all really shared the idea of our party and our design concept where we are incorporating different materials. It was consistent. All of our works were consistent in the fact that we all wanted to do a transition and a transformation and a deconstructivist approach. And we all wanted to create this void piece in the center, which was kind of constituting the datum to our project. We finally came up with this shape that it's very representative of the Miami River in a way, because first we're playing with the materials for it, but then just the form, we're creating this wavy movement and this ondulation in our design, which obviously is not seen here. But it's implicit in the complete design project. And then that ondulation is representative of course, the river itself, the highways, the fluidity. These sharp edges that we have represent the bridges. And then there's a lot of contrast going on, like I said before, in our project. So I think it's a cool approach. I think what we're doing here is just creating a diverse environment, which would actually probably benefit Miami and the Miami River citizens and visitors a lot.
We are now moving to the architecture landscape, which has been a little bit challenging for the fact that we have never experienced this field. We were trying to create this condition in which we will have different levelings of the grounds, which it would also reinforce this loop that we were implementing in our pavilion. It was also to make the void stand out a little bit more than it already is, and just to have this circulation going through the whole pavilion.
We're thinking that this is the east and this is the west, so the sun would come from here and then we would get this shadow. So in the morning, around until maybe 10, 11, when people are looking at the gallery space, which is here and here, they're going to have direct sunlight to this wall, but there's going to be shadow here. And then at noon, there's also shadow here and here, but of course there's more space for indirect sunlight.
Thinking of how we're going to do our floor plan, one thing that was evident was the movement of throughout our park had to be represented quite well. As you can see in our model, you can see this visual pattern on the floor, which it's not only a visual pattern for us to see, but it's also a visual pattern for people to see on the ground, to see more or less the direction of our overall intent on where you're supposed to go, where your next destination should be throughout our gallery spaces.
The idea is that they learn about this place and then they land here where there's a body of water which references the river naturally, and where they can interact with the water, since right now the river is not really interactive for Miami locals or even visitors. There's not much that you can do. It's a beautiful place, there's beautiful structures and there's beautiful things around it, but there's no real interaction. So when you get here, the first thing you can do is just sit and contemplate what's happening. But then also you can play with the water. You can go inside the water, and there are activities for people to interact with. And then eventually water becomes land, and land becomes translated into wood and then concrete, and then that concrete just becomes a structure, and that structure is again showing you the history of the river. And there's other activities here. We have a little stage for people to perform, maybe local artists, singers, who knows, and then people can just talk. They can have a sort of picnic. They can get to know other people, talk about the culture of the Miami River, and then this loop-like formation is just guiding you also to this main structure, in which we'll have a cafe, we'll have a bookstore, and of course we'll have seating arrangements, bathrooms for people to be able to interact with.